Cincinnati area is among those who voted yes on the bill passed this week and signed into law banning abortion once a heartbeat can be detected in a fetus. Even though the U.S. Supreme Court decided Roe v. Wade, Becker says the federal government shouldn't be involved in abortion.
Involved in this. It's really none of our business. Let the states figure it out. We're the laboratories. Laws, one for each state.
Though Becker says he is hoping the Supreme Court will rule it is up to the states, the ACLU of Ohio is among the groups saying they'll challenge the law in court, pointing out that similar laws in other states have been overturned. I'm Jack Crumley.
The gas tax will go up in Ohio this summer, and now there's a new plan to charge electricity in Ohio. The Toledo Blade reporting that State House Speaker Larry Householder has unveiled a measure to tack a surcharge of $250 on residential electric bills, and half of the $300 billion that is expected to generate per year would help prop up Ohio's 2 nuclear power plants. Residents of several communities drying out after flooding along the Lake Erie shore in Port Clinton and Luna Pier say strong east winds pushed waves inland Friday, swamping homes and businesses. Some homes even evacuated in Luna Pier because of the fast rising waters, but no injuries were reported. United says the railings at its stadium are stadium only 10 years old. Cedar Point unleashing a monster attraction this season. The Sandusky
You're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more...
It's spring, and with great weather, great. Strader's Clematis is just $14.99. Peonies from $19.99. Strawberry plants $1.49. Blueberries only $14.99. Strader's Easter flowers like daffodils, tulips, lilies, and hyacinths started. Get your cool season vegetables at $1.49 a tray. Strader's has a huge selection of locally grown perennials, starting at $4.99. Now is the time to save up to 50% on landscaping plants like burning bushes, junipers, lilacs, apple trees, hydrangeas, and many others. Strader's hostas are on sale at just $6.50. Boxwoods $19.99. Fruit trees at $29.99. See all the spring specials on Strader's website at straders.net. Then come to Strader's Garden Center.
Live from LEP Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility located at 999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric, along with my co-father. I guess he's a co-owner and a co-father. My co-father.
Yeah, there you go.
Guys, I love this time of year. I cut my grass for the first time yesterday. Took in about 5 high school baseball games this week. And then later today, right after our show, the best Buckeye coverage, spring game coverage kicks in, starting at 2 o'clock today with live reports from Ohio Stadium. Of course, Sports Director Matt McCoy and the rest of the best Buckeye coverage right here on 6 TVN.
You said you cut your grass?
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah, actually, it was 2 days ago.
Actually, I smoked some grass the other day.
Oh, really?
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. I'm not even going to touch
it. Isn't that legal?
You know what?
Although it does explain a lot. But
it does. We'll have to say, guys, I talk every week because I try to see what we can do better on and what works. And I tell you, I was laughing so hard in the gym. Yes.
Some of us like to call it the lonely cow.
Yes.
But it's a bull.
Right. Not firearms bash.
Yeah. Really
and
great.
Yeah,
He's
it was. What a guy.
Good guy. Yeah.
You know
great guy.
something he said, and he said it on air here, and also when he spoke later, and it's true. We get up on all the craziness that's going on, all these groups that are proposing things that are just off the wall. But it has come so far in the last 15 years that we do have to be thankful for, and know that the fighting hasn't been for anything, for nothing.
For
and
nothing, yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
So
16 states have constitutional carry. And,
right.
We're up for one. So
one of John's kind of pertains to that about Florida.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a news story I had, but it fits in really well here. So almost 2 million, very close, probably by the end of the month, 2 million Floridians will have their concealed carry permits. And when you think about that, they've been number one in the state in the nation for a long time, but this will put them at the 2 million. That's pretty incredible. Matter of fact, some people have said they're going to call Florida the gunshine state.
Wow.
But
you know what? I mean, Cam said something that was so true. He says, look, all I want to do is solidify the important and the Second Amendment for generations to come. He says, I don't want future generations to have to fight over the frivolous stuff that we're fighting today. We need to get it to the Supreme Court, have them rule on it, and be done with it. Although it's pretty optimistic because I think there's always going to be a battle. But, get it, blessed and let's go on. It's crazy.
The case goes through. They're so worried about it now. There's a chance that they may withdraw the case the way that they think it probably will go, because that's what the Constitution says.
Right.
Yeah.
Craziness. Today our topic is, it's a bit self-serving. I'm going to tell you that. We have an increasingly amount of questions in regard to a town that's fairly new that I think was actually developed outside of Steubenville, Ohio. I believe it was a
Really cool. If you are any sort of a gear freak, like a flashlight freak or radio, whatever it is, you will like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It really is. It's an incredible
little outfit. If you're a survival guy or just like to be
Rampart hosting Toyota West, the Group, Blackwing Shooting Center, River's Edge Cutlery, CNS, and Grand, all for being a contributor to this show. Joining me today in the LAPD studios, JC from the sales team. You were busy this morning, JC.
It was busy.
Yes.
It was busy out there this morning, so that's a good thing. But
you know what, too? What a pleasure last week to have some time with Lieutenant Husted.
We had him on the radio show once as a call-in, but meet him in person. He's as genuine as a person that I've ever met. Really, we talked to him for a long time, along with Cam Edwards from we're separate, but both of those folks talked to Jim Irvin, who's the Buckeye fireman.
if we'll be able to pull it off.
To pull it off, okay. We will anxiously wait for that. My father, co-owner Phil, sits to my left. Paul, not to get sidetracked, this is a show about guns and Second Amendments, but what a game last night. Well, I'm not talking about the Blue Jackets, but that was a game too,
no.
actually.
No, looking at my gun, right field. Now I play left field. Right field's okay. And to see how he plays and to see how he contributes to the team is really phenomenal. And the remarkable catch that he made in the bottom of the seventh, which the games only go 7 innings, and unfortunately he collided with the center fielder, but came up with the catch. And if they missed the ball, or if they would have dropped the ball, then they would have lost the game. And so he actually saved the game.
Yep.
And he's a little bruised.
Two aggressive players, both him and center field. Those things you see it happen even in professional sports. I mean, no matter how well you prepare. I mean, it was if the game was over, their arch rival would have won. If they caught it, game over, they win. So
a heavy collision, and
tell
he
them
held on.
All right, tell them your.
So they collide in center. They're both down. I mean, glasses off, hats off, and everyone takes a collective gasp. And they're down, and they're kind of rolling around. And all of a sudden, out of the dust pile, you see a lone glove raise up with the ball in it. You figure you can fix the bumps and bruises later, but that's all right. It was great. Yeah. Great game. So congratulations to Waters. I don't want to jinx it. If you missed the show, you can also catch the podcast. We're at 610WTN.com. Where you can see everything live. We've already shown the gun of the week, so if you're on, a little bit of a preview, and that is 9886. You can call in, ask questions of the or whatever. On one thing I want to say, guys, before two quick things. One, we talked about make you use reputable trainers and you go to a facility. About CCW and CHL here in Ohio. It was in the paper last week, 2 weeks ago now, where we found out that he no longer has a license.
Right.
One for the good guys on that, and so just wanted to bring everyone up to speed. And one other thing, guys. Anything?
6 days before the day?
4 days, but yes.
4 days?
Yeah.
Who knows?
The whole month, so, I mean,
the whole month.
Well, all right.
Yeah. It's 3 days after May Day.
Oh, I was getting confused with my. Okay, never mind.
So, starting May 4th and forever 4th, this show, the airing of OnTarget is going to change to high noon on Saturdays.
Wow. In honor of Gary Cooper, we're going to do high noon.
That's right.
Okay, all right.
So, starting then, a couple weeks, tune in an hour earlier. We're going to get up a little bit.
At 10 now instead of 11?
Yes.
Here?
That's right. So, watch for that to come. Guys, it's time for a little news. JC, what do you got?
I have a lot of stuff happening out there, but let's cover a couple of these things that are kind of fun. We get a lot of questions here about reliability. People come in and look at used guns going, I don't know, it's had some rounds through it. I'd rather have new. And I tell people, look, these things are durable. Well, this is a report that just came out from the St. Bernard Indoor Shooting Range. I think I was in Florida, but I'm not quite certain. But that doesn't make report on a 5-year test of 3 different Smith & Wesson M&Ps, and they were the first generation. I mean, now they have the 2.0s, but these are the first generation. They're standard 9mm full size, they're 9mm compact, and they're 9mm shield. Well, over the 5 years, they've documented between 50 and 55,000 rounds have been fired through these three guns. The full-size one the most with 37,000 rounds. Well, after 5 years and 55,000 rounds, only 2 parts changes have been made in these total of 3 guns. One was a slide stop, and a lot of people use that as a slide release. And as a Smith & Wesson armor, we've been told that that's the #1 part that wears out. But after 8,000 rounds, they replaced it. But 20,000 rounds later, 19,000 rounds later, the one they replaced it with is still functioning fine. And a pin started to come out of the compact where the takedown lever is. It's a real simple thing. And they said instead of pushing it back in, they just replaced it. But those are the only 2 parts in about 55,000 rounds of hard range uses that were in these, that happened to these pistols. So when you come in and look at this, we tell them these are meant to fire thousands and thousands of rounds. So sometimes used guns are your best deal. So
I like
thought that was pretty
I like
amazing.
them because I think they're quite honestly, I think they're built better myself. But
well, and a lot of times they have a little character. I mean, there's
They have character, but you know what? I don't think. In fact, I know for sure that I've never shot. I have not, and I probably will never shoot 50,000 rounds in my lifetime with all the guns I have.
Yeah, right. Well,
I mean, collectively.
But that's a lot of shots with absolutely nothing, happen except those 2 things. Another quick story. This is kind of fun because we talked about this a little earlier, Phil. A personal tip: don't fly faster than your own bullets. In the Netherlands, a Dutch pilot, F-16 pilot, and the gun that they have is a 6-barreled 20-millimeter Gatling gun, fires 6,000 rounds per minute, okay? And they were doing live fire testing, and a guy went up, and he completed his run, live fire testing, peeled out, went forward, and then turned in front of his rounds.
Really? His own rounds.
Struck the fuselage and went into the engine and disintegrated in the engine, and he had to do a land. So he shot himself down with a 20-millimeter round by outflying it. Now, it comes out at 3,450 feet per second, and plus the speed of the airplane, but with the air resistance and no power to it, it's just nothing but a slowdown. So he outflew it, turned in front of it, and kind of shot himself down. So
wow.
I thought, let that be a lesson to you. So that was pretty strange.
Hey, now I'll tell you what, too. I got one, too. We talked about the California judge that I think his name was Roger Benitez. He overturned the state's nearly 20-year ban on magazines last month. And then he halted that ban after a week later. And within that week, there were over 1 million high-capacity magazines sold in California.
In 1 week.
In 1 week, over 1 million magazines sold.
And now they're all grandfathered in.
And they're all grandfathered in.
They put a stay. He put a stay in his own injunction to wait and see what the courts come out with. But right now, they're not prosecuting anybody who has them.
And so now that gives the gun ban people a thing. It's like, hey, there's 1 million magazines out there, and the world hasn't ended, and no big shootings.
When we come back from the break, it is Ronnie's turn for the gun of the week. It's a neat one. It is right there on Facebook if you're watching us live. We're on Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
When you hear that there is a new app tracking hate crimes, do you feel like this will bring people together?
Joel Riley and Columbus's Morning News.
Or will it drive people apart?
Monday morning.
This app is going to take off, and there's going to be all kinds of people that perceive hate crimes that may not qualify. There's a lot more people that say they want to bring people together.
On News Radio 610 WTVN.
When what they really want to do is drive people farther.
Currently 62, Eric.
Oh, the air is so stale in your car, dear. I'm gagging. Still able to speak, though. Don't you want fresh air for Granny's little darlings? All that dirt and odor outside gets into your car and into their precious lungs.
Well, you can't always choose what gets into your car.
Block and control odors in your car with the power of Febreze and Purolator Boss Premium Cabin Air Filters. Find your retailer at pureoil.com.
Do you know about Febreze, dear? At House of Your smells like a thrift store.
Get outside and get ready to enjoy spring with the spring sale going on now at Bike Source. Save hundreds on mountain and road bikes, recreational comfort bikes, starting at just $359.99. And Bike Source has the largest selection of electric bikes in Ohio. Bikes for everyone on sale. Helmets, shoes, clothing, nutrition, and more. Up to 20% off. The Bike Source spring sale going on now. Bike Source. Visit them in Dublin and Clintonville.
iHeartRadio presents the podcast premiere event of Committed Season 2.
But I was so afraid. I could lose everything.
Love is hard. Everything about life that we had thought and planned and hoped for was just in that moment gone.
Love is wonderful and confusing and magical and infuriating.
I was so lucky to have that.
Join the millions of listeners who've made Committed possible. It's cheaper than therapy.
Your ABC 6 first warning weather for today. Lots of sunshine out there, dry and mild, high of 68. Tonight, rain moves in, mainly overnight though, low of 48. For Sunday, rain and storms are likely throughout the day, high of 67. It is currently a beautiful 62 degrees on your severe weather station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
News Radio 610 WTVN. Columbus's news, traffic, and weather station.
I feel bad for the people who watch us on Facebook because they get more. They get more than they pay for, and we don't charge them even. You know. Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host Eric, joined today in the LEPD studios with my father and co-owner Phil. Sits to my left.
I like John. He plays those, baby.
Joe.
Joe. Sorry, Joe. Well, yeah, John would do the same thing. Joe plays those songs.
I know.
He let them go.
Were you feeding those to him?
I can't remember if I did. Gave him that one.
Oh, this is good.
JC from the sales team is to my right. Ronnie, the Gun of the Week holder and our gunsmith, sits to my far right. Ronnie, a great Gun of the Week this week. I'm going to let you tell the fine folks about him while the people on Facebook watch.
Okay. The Gun of the Week, Phil, you'll like this, is a revolver.
Thank God.
I can't believe I'm actually doing that.
Oh, yeah.
It is a Smith & Wesson Model 360 survival kit. And I have to thank John because I was looking at this earlier this week and thought, God, look at all that stuff in there. And I come in on Friday and John goes, hey, Ronnie, here's a cheat sheet for that kit. And I'm like, what? But
There's a lot of stuff in there.
It's very cool. It comes in this really cool case, and it's a survival kit. So part of the survival kit is a Model 360 revolver with an orange handle on it, which is pretty cool. That in itself, it's an airweight 38 special.
No, it's a 357 Magnum.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
Just whose Gun of the Week is it?
Well,
I should have known right off when I saw the pinned
unfluted
front
cylinder.
sight.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
light.
and then it's got like a headlight lamp. It's got a survival knife. It's got first aid, learn and live kit. It's got a watertight survival kit with, a what do you call the silver.
It has a space. They call
the
space blanket, the little emergency
blanket.
It's also got an emergency towel in there, and it's got just a bunch of survival.
And it's got a waterproof notebook, so you can write, your last letter to your family members and stuff before
before you're deceased.
That's a little bottle of scotch, I think.
Yeah, there's a little bottle of scotch with a signal mirror, and it's got a little aimer on it.
Now you know what to make that perfect?
What?
Is a little bit of toilet paper.
We have a survival
I
towel
hear
in there,
that the space blanket works well if you cut it up into small pieces.
There you
can use that for toilet paper.
All right.
But it's got a shelter building kit that talks about how to build different types of shelters. That is, it's in a card that's waterproof and you lose them. It's all in one piece. Look at that shovel though. It's called the Para shovel.
There's a
it
shovel
looked like a
in there?
nice. Yeah, that's.
I'm looking for the shovel. This is. Oh, it is.
Yeah,
okay.
read what's on there. I wrote down all the different stuff. It's a.
All right, the
Para shovel.
It's got a floating LED headlamp, waterproof notebook, floating signal mirror, waterproof shelter building instructions.
Here's the
Para Shovel Pro.
Yes.
Multi-tool shovel with line cutter, saw cutting blade, and sheet.
Measuring device.
Paracord.
It's got a fire starter in there.
Does it have a
survival
compass?
whistle,
Does it have a
8
compass?
feet. Yeah,
Does it have a
compass
compass?
is in there.
There's
and
a compass in there.
8 feet of paracord.
Everything you need.
All that in one kit. And the price.
So
like-
if you
it's
have a couple
really reasonable.
scotches when you go to the shooting range and you get lost out there on the range, this is your kit.
So and the price is like $700.
That's
it's
not
a
bad.
little over $700, and it's got
Which
all this
is
stuff.
truly amazing because when you look at the Airweight 357 Smith & Wessons, I love them. I have a couple of them, but they are up there in
They're
price.
expensive.
I mean, they are expensive. This one, unfluted cylinder. It has
Red ram.
I mean, it's just beautiful.
The sight on the front, is
sight.
pinned, so you could change to like an XS Big Dot or
Yep.
do whatever you want with
Well,
it.
and like one of the listeners just chimed in, or one of the Facebook watchers, there's actually extra room in there for a tourniquet and bandages and everything else. So
yeah,
you
could make it into your own.
Yeah, and it comes in a bright orange.
Does it
kit.
have enough room in there to put in a supply of rocks when you're on the beach to spell out "send help"?
Well, you probably, I tell you, the case
probably
is
does.
huge. But the neat thing is, this is very similar to the survival kits that Smith & Wesson offered years ago in 460 and in 500,
which are going now for
$2,500.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So this is a real bargain. I really believe that.
I couldn't imagine
it's
buying
very,
it,
very cool.
and not opening it, and using everything and checking.
Right.
you know
Well,
what I mean?
they're
I'd
out
be-
there on Gunbroker, so I don't know if this is going to be something that, give it a couple years down the road, you know, you keep it complete and everything. It might be a little bit of an investment
I think
piece
that
too.
would be an investment. Yeah. The
Plus,
other one,
a great firearm. I mean, a 357 little J frame like that is definitely something to consider.
It's very cool. When it first came in, I'm kind of like a gear geek when it comes to survival, or maybe, you know, like bug out and stuff like that. It'd be a great bug out suitcase like thing.
The only thing I was a hair disappointed on is the original ones came in almost like a Pelican case, I think. I mean, it really looked airtight.
Yeah.
This looks more to me like an oversized Smith & Wesson
Gun
case,
case, yeah.
that is orange. But, you know, it's,
Yeah, if
still,
it were
it's
in a
only the
Pelican
case.
case, that
but
would
it's a big
be
case.
sweet.
It is.
It's
It's
room enough
almost
to put your scotch in there, Phil, and yeah, it's got
Little-
everything.
little
Pack
bit
a
of
lunch,
gin,
and
little
there
bit
you
of
go.
gin.
All right.
There you go. That's a good gun of the week, Ronnie, and
Great
it's for
gun.
sale. I think there's still a couple left over there. So
Wow, there's a couple of them?
I didn't know.
I
we
think
had-
there's still two
Yeah,
left.
Okay, that is great.
Very
Yep.
cool.
Just came in.
It is nice.
So next week, JC will have the gun of the week. We'll
All right.
actually await that.
Ah,
Did you
So-
guys? Are we short on time?
Yep. Look at the time there.
Well, that doesn't tell me anything. Right? I don't keep track of this.
So when we come back from the bottom of the hour break, we're going to get to whatever Papa wants to talk
Well, I
about,
just-
apparently.
yeah, I was
and
gonna ask
then-
about this article.
And then the topic
Who
of the day.
knows?
And the topic of the day.
The
Yep.
300 blackout.
All right.
We're on target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Are you looking to transform your backyard this summer? Look no further than Omniscapes. They understand that your home is your place to relax and unwind after a long day. It's also your place to entertain family and friends. When it comes to a complete landscaping transformation, such as a new stamped concrete patio, an outdoor kitchen or fireplace, or even general lawn maintenance, Omniscapes is there for you. Their professionals will transform your yard into the oasis of your dreams. Visit omniscapesohio.com to schedule a consultation today. Omniscapes is a division of Omni Group.
Thinking about replacing your roof? Call Fiesel. For the past 30 years, Fiesel offers homeowners the best quality, service, and price in the industry. Call 614-QUALITY now during their spring sale and receive 10% off your full roof replacement. All Fiesel installed roofs come with their no asterisks, no middleman lifetime warranty. Fiesel always provides free inspections, their price match guarantee, and financing options that fit your LN's Memorial 14 Quality today, or visit FieselInc.com.
News, news, traffic, and weather for Columbus. News Radio 610, WTVN.
Ground beef is the source of an E. coli outbreak that has affected more than 100 people across 6 states, including the Buckeye State. The CDC says to avoid E. coli, people should cook ground beef to an internal temperature of 160 degrees, keep uncooked foods away from raw meat, and always wash your hands. Ohio lawmakers have already agreed to raise the gas tax this summer. Now there's a plan to add a surcharge to electric bills. The State House Speaker says the money that charge generates would in part help keep 2 nuclear power plants near Toledo and Cleveland going. Supporters think people would end up paying less for electricity because the bill would do away with mandates for renewable energy. And the University of Akron seeking $1 million for what they call construction deficiencies at their football stadium. The school is suing several construction companies that worked on the stadium, citing that the railings were installed incorrectly and are unsafe. I'm Kyle Cornell.
You've tried other flooring only to have to replace it again and again. Nature Stone is the only solution that will stand up to moisture, dampness, and even flooding. Never replace your basement flooring again. It's Mark Blazer for Nature Stone. You know Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, their true unconditional warranty. Russell's Promise ensures that all Nature Stone customers are satisfied with their experience. Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of April and get up to half off. Like my friend Mike says, it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Isn't it nice now that the move to better weather is on? We're starting to transition to a little more outdoor. Maybe it's that Four Seasons room. And if you've been thinking it's time to replace the patio door, now's the time, and Pella are the people to get it done. That's right. You can get an in-home consultation. Bring that expert right to your house so they can help you make the right decision. Installers, when they leave, you're cleaned up and in perfect condition. And with Pella, you know you can trust them. Go to PellaColumbus.com now or call 877-98-PELLA.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios with Ronnie, who makes up Boom Boom Tactical. My father and co-owner, Phil, sits to my left. JC from the sales team is also here at the table. If you want to jump in on the conversation, 614-821-9886. Before we get to the topic of the day, Pablo, you were doing some reading of the paper.
Before I was rudely cut off, no, I was just going to ask the guys here if they saw the article in Wednesday's Dispatch paper about the mayor's reaction to the mass shooting that they had there.
The Pittsburgh mayor?
The Pittsburgh mayor,
yeah.
not our mayor. Okay.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Pittsburgh mayor.
But it would be similar to our mayor.
Well, it probably would be.
Probably.
You know, and they're banning this, banning that. You know, and again, they're banning assault weapons, and I'm sure they don't have a definition for that.
Or the authority.
But this, I mean, and this is the first time, or this is not the first time that I've seen where they ban armor-piercing ammunition.
Totally off base, unsubstantiated.
What's up with that?
Doesn't mean anything. Not an issue. Total showing ignorance on the topic. It's checking the box to say we did something, regardless of if it's anything that affects change.
Something must be lingering out there that they home in on that armor-piercing stuff.
It sounds bad. It sounds evil. So let's go say it, even though it's not available and you can't get it. But let's ban something that we can't get. So there you go.
And if you asked them, they'd probably say, well, these are the rounds that go through the police vests. Well, newsflash, any of the 223 AK rounds go through the police vest, okay?
Yeah.
There it is. So it's not armor piercing only. So it's ignorance. It's true ignorance on the topic.
There is some military surplus. I'm not, I certainly know about that. You see at gun shows, some of the stuff they roll out from the Korean War and things, but that's such a rarity. You just don't find those in stores.
Wouldn't an armor-piercing round anyways kind of damage your firearm, or maybe I'm thinking of tracers?
No, it depends on the core. I mean, the steel core stuff that the military uses in 223, it is meant to penetrate, helmets at 600 meters, something like that. So but it's just crazy because, like you said, everything. We went out to that test where they were just testing regular ammo with vests, and unless you've got a ceramic or steel plate on there, which most officers don't, things can go right through it.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Well, guys, in recent years, a round has a little bit of an identity issue. Originally, it was called a 300 Whisper. Sometimes you may hear it, 300 Fireball. How about the 300 221, 300 ACC, 300 Warrior Carbine, 7.62 by 35, or most commonly now called the 300 blackout. It's a round that, amongst other benefits, can easily be suppressed. It can easily suppress a 250 grain bullet, and the neat thing about it is it uses a standard AR-15 mag.
And from what I hear, when they're suppressed, they're quieter than the MP5 and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Really?
what they say.
Yeah.
So, and here's a fun fact. Did you guys know that the 300 Whisper, okay, trademarked by a company called SSK Industries?
Yeah, J.D. Jones.
That's why it is not referred to that in some of these other ones, because they have a trademark on it. And do you know where SSK Industries is based out of? My wife's hometown of Wintersville, Ohio.
Get out.
Yes,
Really?
right there.
Wow.
Yep. You know who told me that? One of our customers, also from that area. You guys would know who it is, and stuff. So, for the purpose of, it came about for the purpose of achieving similar ballistics to the 7.62 by 39, but in an AR platform, and it uses AR mag, so that's convenient. But is it worth adding to your collection? We'll be discussing that today when we talk about 300 blackout.
Absolutely.
JC, tell us a little bit more about the history on that.
All right, so history-wise, and you know me, that's what I kind of really like. All right, the 221 Fireball was a Remington cartridge. It came out in 1963 for use in their long-range target pistol, the XP100. Great pistol. Okay, that's what they came out with. So immediately the Wildcatters go, okay, this is great, but America loves 30 caliber, let's face it. So someone took it and blew it up, probably, they don't know who or when, and blew it up to a 30 caliber, and it was around there. Well, J.D. Jones picked up on it. Now, J.D. Jones is probably the leader in the last 20 years in subsonic ammunition development. I mean, he's the man. And so he found out this wasn't patented. So in 1992, he took this 221 Fireball Remington made, blew it up to 30, and patented it as, copyrighted it as the 300 Whisper. Okay, he has other Whisper calibers also that are made for suppressed subsonic rounds. Well, they came up with this, but it wouldn't be adopted by SAMI. That's the Sporting Arms and Ammunitions Manufacturer Institute, which controls all ammunition that's released in the United States of America. They will not. You have to be a SAMI member to develop a new round. He wasn't. It was a proprietary cartridge that he developed. He went to Europe. They accepted it. So they have that round over there in Europe under the CIP, which is their version of what we have over here. But they wouldn't develop it. So, but it still was such a good idea. And that was round, by the way, that was based on the 222, which is the 223 developed. So the size is the same. Now let's go over to the Advanced Armament Corporation. Some military guy came to them because they were doing military development stuff and said, look, what we'd really like to have is a round that kind of matched what the Soviet round was. The Soviet used that 7.62 by 39 millimeter, but they said, we really want to make this efficient. So they want to use the same bolt. They want to use the same magazine, since we have 1 billion 223 mags. And can you do something? Well, of course, what you do is you take the 223 and you blow it up to the 30 caliber. You got to cut it down so the longer bullet will fit in there. Well, guess what? It's the same size as the 300 Whisper. So we actually have guns that are in here marked 300 Whisper / blackout on there. The rounds are interchangeable, according to J.D. Jones, but he couldn't have his name on it. So Mr. Silvers was the guy from AAC, went and developed this because he went to Remington, using the basis of that cartridge I talked about on that Remington. Remington is a SAMI member, so they adopted this, and in July 17th of 2011, yeah, it's been around for 8 years now, it has been officially adopted as the 300 AAC Blackout. Ta-da. So 30 caliber round.
So what, JC, I mean, we know a little bit now about the physical description of it.
Yep.
Ballistic-wise, what's it look like?
Ballistic-wise, I mean, that's one of the reasons the military is interested for their special forces, their SOCOM, the special operations, said we need sometimes, we want something heavier than a 223 because we would need suppressed fire and still knocking somebody out. So the beauty of the round is the fact that it can take a bullet as light as 78 grains, but all the way up to, as you mentioned, 240 is the biggest I've seen, but I imagine you can get a 250 grain one in there also. with that heavy bullet being subsonic, and like Ronnie said, it's even with suppressed fire with a suppressor on it, it's even quieter than a lot of our other rounds. And it works beautifully for that. So ballistic-wise, with the light bullets, we're talking about 2,375 feet per second with a 110 grain bullet, 125 grain bullet, 2,200 feet per second. Okay, so that's a nice hypersonic range, supersonic range. When you get to the 220 grain, you're down with about 1,000 feet per second. Anything below 1,100 is considered subsonic. But with that, you're still getting about 500 foot-pounds of energy, which is a lot of energy because you're getting thumped with a 220 grain bullet.
That'll hurt. A 308 bullet.
Yeah, with a 308 bullet.
Yeah.
So the beauty of it is you can change the upper with any of the M16, M4 combos. Just put it on there. It uses the same bolt, uses the same magazines. All you have to do is change the upper, and the military likes that fact with just moving 2 bolts, popping it on. And the only thing you have to make sure is you don't get your magazines confused, because the military want to use the same magazines with the same capacity, obviously based on a 223, so you can still hold 30 rounds. The problem is if you stick those rounds into a 223, it will go. And that's the big thing. So I know when Ruger came out with theirs, they colored the magazines and make them 300 blackout. So if you buy their gun, you don't get it confused, but the magazines really are the same.
And that's the one big thing, too, is that technically you don't have to change out the whole upper. All you have to change is the barrel. And like John said, it uses everything else. I mean, and people are like, well, but it's expensive. If you're a reloader, 223 casings you can get them by the dozen, and all you do is you cut them to length and then re-shoulder them, and you've got your blackout brass. I mean, it's so easy.
And it functions well in pistols. That's the other thing. These short pistols that they have right now, J.D. Jones said that it actually works sometimes better in the shorter barrels than the longer ones. So
I don't know. You guys are starting to sell me on it, but after we come back from the break, I see someone on the line here that may have some other thoughts.
Okay.
So we're going to jump to break right now. We're talking 300 blackout. If you want to jump in on the conversation, 614-821-9886. When we come back, we're going to get to our buddy Rich, who has some thoughts on the blackout as well.
I really need to know.
I need to know what's going on.
I need to be prepared. Just want to be informed.
What you'll want.
College admission bribery scandal.
This outbreak.
Cases of measles. My investors.
Show us the tax returns.
And what you'll need.
Crisis at the border.
Child separation.
Mueller report.
The full report.
Prime Minister Netanyahu.
At the top and 30 minutes past the hour.
All of the information we need.
What you want and what you need.
Every single day.
Every day.
Every day.
For everyday life.
News Radio 610 WTVN.
Hey, it's Matt McCoy. Spring is here. That means no more putting off those home improvement projects. So if you've got leaky windows, take care of it now by calling my guys at Universal Windows Direct. The windows feature technology developed by NASA called Super Spacer, and you will feel the difference in your home. You know the deal. It's buy one window, get the next free with no limit, 0% financing for 36 months, plus a true lifetime warranty. Call now for your free in-home estimate, 614-221-0700, or go to UniversalWindowsDirect.com. Universal Windows Direct. I love my windows.
Spring has arrived, and Kurtz Brothers has a special opportunity for In the Garden listeners like you. Take 25% off your spring order of bulk or bagged mulch, soil, and leaf compost with us. That's right. We want to extend this special 25% off coupon to you. Visit kbcolumbus25.com. That's kbcolumbus25.com. Call 614-43-MULCH or visit our Dublin, Westerville, or Frank Road locations and mention this special offer. Kurtz Brothers, we want to make the good earth better.
Your ABC 6 first warning weather for today. Lots of sunshine, dry and mild, high of 68. For tonight, rain moves in mainly overnight, though, low of 48. First Sunday, rain and storms are likely throughout the day, high of 67. It is a beautiful 62 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
Traffic and weather every 10 minutes on the 10s, mornings and afternoons. News Radio 610 WTVN.
There ain't no grave can hold my body down. There ain't no grave can hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound,
was that you, Papa?
Right out of the ground. Ain't no
Wow.
That's all Joe.
Oh, he's good.
Yeah.
He's good. I thought Scott was good. Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LEPD studios with JC from the sales team, Ronnie, our gunsmith. and owner of Boom Boom Tactical Systems. To my right, my father and co-owner of this establishment, 6 to my left. We're talking about the 300 blackout round. Is it right for you? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? We have a caller on the line. It looks like my buddy Richie is on the line. Now, you know what? I never do a good job because we're such good friends of really telling everyone else who he is. So let me tell you a little bit about who he is. He's the president of Tactical Applications Consulting and Training, former Sig Sauer Special Weapons Coordinator, 20 years in the industry, all-around good guy, happens to be a Patriots fan, and loves long walks on the beach.
Wow. There you go.
Is that right, Rich?
I hate the beach.
Welcome, Richard. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, I am good. I am good. Beautiful day out today. I should be on my motorcycle riding, but I'm here with you guys instead.
Wow. Hey, I heard a rumor up in your neck of the woods in the New England area. There was some big find by a police department in a dumpster or something yesterday?
Occasionally I get calls. As you know, I work with law enforcement up here, and occasionally I'll get a call from an agency, and they'll say, Rich, we got something, we don't know what it is, which to some people may sound shocking, but believe it or not, a lot of guys just don't know what's out there as far as a variety of weapons. Anyways, drove up to the local PD, and somebody threw away, believe it or not, a first version World War II M3 grease gun.
Wow. Where's that dumpster located? I want to start frequenting that.
Did you?
It was a city dump. I went down there, and the thing was in immaculate condition. So just to let your listeners know, because the leading misconception is it's going to be destroyed, but I make it a point. I've seen a lot of guns over the last 20 years that have come in that have been vet bringbacks. Anything that comes into my hands never gets destroyed.
Bless
Either it
your
stays
heart.
with the police department, or it goes over to my buddy museum in Springfield, Massachusetts, and he's taken quite a few of the guns from me over the years.
What a beauty. I just saw it on the internet. What a beauty that is. First generation with reciprocating handle, which was kind of fun. But
yeah, Richie, I showed it to all the guys here. So you don't, is the department obviously going to release it and keep it intact then?
Yeah, we're doing the background check. We're going to call the ATF and see if there's any paperwork on it, but chances are it's a vet bring back or somehow. And I mean, it was thrown away, so they're probably going to keep it, and every 4th of July, take it out and play with it.
Wow. So, Richard, we're talking about the 300 blackout. You and I have talked about this numerous times. What's your thought on it?
Well, you know my nickname up here is the gun curmudgeon. You know, everything puts holes in papers. It's a Ford Chevy argument that will never die. To me, it has a place, but I call it another Gucci round. I'm sorry. I hate to be that. Rounds come into play. 6.5 Grendel, the Creedmoor, 5.7 by 28, 357 SIG, 45 gap. The industry is trying to invent the wheel, and sometimes it gets a flash in the pan, then it dies out. As Ronnie, I think it was Ronnie, was saying that the military is looking at this, and it does have applications for short combat distances. I mean, if you look at the 5.56 rounds, I mean, it has an effective range up to 500. Well, the 300 blackout is around 300 yards. You know, the 5.56 is 40% lighter to carry than the 300 blackout. You know, and that 300 blackout, even suppressed, delivers 7 pounds of more felt recoil than a 5.56. So it's got its pros and cons, but, you know, we've had agencies up here looking at it for their teams, and I've been very anti-migrating into the 300 blackout because of the confusion between the two rounds, the 5.56 and the 300, and those being mixed. I mean, we've seen videos on YouTube. There was one that some guy was opening up full auto AR, and it went boom because there was a 300 blackout that got mixed in with a 223. But with Special Forces, SEAL teams, MARSOC, having engagement distance of less than 300 yards and suppressed, it's a great round. For the civilian market, it's expensive. It's a little hard to find. 5.56s everywhere. And, you know, even though if you are a reloader, after a while, you're going to see a hit in the wallet. And the bottom line, when you go down range and you look at your target, guess what? You're going to see a hole in the paper. Same thing that 5.56 will do.
Well, we're talking to my buddy Rich, who is been in the business a long time and with SIG and his own company and stuff. And it's always good to hear your perspective on it, Rich. And you, I mean, so many times I'll call you I get excited about, be it a round or an item that comes out, and you kind of reel it back in and give us the big perspective on it. And Ronnie.
Well, in the one thing he said, I mean, I've been on the blackout train since it started, and I've done all my own reloading and everything on it. And you do get to a point where, it's a lot of extra work, and basically, it's another hole in the target or whatever, as he would say.
Right.
When you can go out and buy a box of, 5.56 for really cheap and go to town with it.
But it's niche, and it's just what he was saying. I mean, who developed it? It was J.D. Jones. Why? Because it was for subsonic performance, used with a suppressor to knock things down, and I think the maximum effective range was basically about 200 meters, I think is what they were saying with a 220 grainer. But for suppressed, like you said, for SEALs teams, some that aren't worried about the distance, they want something that will be quiet and knock somebody down quickly. And I think that's the niche.
I've always thought of it as a urban defense firearm, something for home. Because can you imagine a 220 grain bullet for home defense? A hollow point.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can.
goodness,
45 with a 230 grain bullet.
Well, but 30 of them as quick as you can pull the trigger. I mean,
so Richard, you always have some good juicy gossip in the industry. What do you see coming down the pike? Anything good?
Well, Ruger just reintroduced their PC9 with a M-Lock rail system on it, and I have to say, I like it. It looks nice. It almost looks like the Papa Shah. Are you guys familiar with the Papa Shah? The Russian PPSH-43 from World War II?
Oh, yeah, that I'm familiar with. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of has that look. If Ruger came out with that gun in a wooden stock, I'd get all giddy over it. So that's something that recently just got released. Beretta is coming out with a single stack. No, actually, no, I backed that up a little bit. I apologize. FN is coming out with a single stack.
Really?
It's gonna. Everyone's trying to compete with the 43 and the 365 and the 48X, or the 43X and the 48 and 365. So single stacks are starting to make a push again. But that's all I've got right now. I've got nothing else on the radar, but I will give you guys a reach out, especially Eric, and let you know if I get stuff, because I get all the emails on a regular basis, because as a distributor now, they always want us to get in early and buy.
Right. Rich, are you able to talk? I mean, we're seeing here at the store level, I don't know what it is, if it's just in the U.S. market, but we're seeing a little bit of a pullback from H&K. Hard to get the products, hard to get service. Is that something? Is that just a blip here, an evolution, or is that?
Why don't you do you want to talk about my tattoo instead?
Hey, did you get that fixed yet?
Because it's almost as painful. Listen, I do a lot of business with H&K, and I would never talk badly about the people I deal with here in the U.S., but there is something going on behind the Iron Curtain, and I don't know what it is. Yeah. It is impossible for me as a law enforcement distributor, and even working with the commercial market, to get product in. No exaggeration, for me to get an MP5 SD or any HK416, minimum 2 years.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That shocks me.
Yeah. Companies go through, you go through evolutions and ebbs and flows and stuff. It just seems like we're in one of those valleys with them right now. Just we don't have a good supply. I mean, the VP9s and stuff, a different story, but on some of their other hammer-fired firearms, we're struggling, and it seems to be something that's just not us. So.
No, it's not. And what's worse is our customers look at us and say, why are you not getting me the gun? They don't look at the manufacturer, understand everything there is to know about the building materials and how many guns are actually manufactured. When you look at Sig Sauer and say Ruger, for instance, they have probably 75 or 100 different variations of handguns and rifles and pistols. When they tie up their machines, they're only making quantities of 5,000, maybe 8,000. Well, if you do the math, you split those up between 25 major distributors, that 5,000 run of a particular firearm gets dispersed really quickly, especially when you look at an industry that's got millions of shooters waiting for these new products. With H&K on their USPs and their HK45 lines, they closed the factory that was here in Newington, New Hampshire 2 years ago.
Wow.
So all the USP 45s, the HK 45s, and the MMR 556s were being manufactured and assembled here. Let me bring that back. Assembled. There was no manufacturing going on, but they closed that plant down for some reason, and that was a very deep, dark secret. So I've got agencies right now that are barking up my backside trying to get their guns, and they've been waiting. I've got Maine State Police right now that's been waiting for a USP variation of their guns, and it's been 8 months.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Well, Richard, we are running short on time. Hey, thank you so much for calling in. It's always good to hear you. You're always a voice of reason. Thanks for the input and keeping us abreast of firearm industry news. I'll catch up to you later this week, Rich.
And send that M3 this way. We'd like to try it out here.
Well, sooner or later, I plan on coming down. If there's any way I can convince the department to let me borrow it for demonstration purposes, I'll let you know.
All right. Sounds great. That's Rich, a good friend of ours up in the New England area. Been in the business a long time. Guys, next week we're going to talk about, it's summertime now. You have a tendency to go to something maybe that's not as big of a carry gun as you're used to. How effective are those small calibers? The 380, the 32, the 25. The rounds are different now.
Yeah.
Is it worth carrying?
And I call them the seasonal guns.
That's right. See, that's it. That's a perfect thing. And we're going to talk a little bit about the effectiveness. Have a good week. Listen to the spring game here coming up right now on 610 WTVN. Have a good week.
From the Elk and Elk Studios, if a medical mistake caused you an injury, call Elk and Elk at 1-800-ELK, Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN.
It's getting warmer and we're getting lots of moisture. That means your grass is really starting to grow. At Strader's Garden Centers, pick up Scott's 4-step lawn care program to help you get the best lawn ever. This is Scott's best annual program. It feeds and protects your lawn and eliminates weeds. At Strader's this weekend, the 4-step lawn care program is on sale for just $64.99.
Wow.
After a $20
You there, Mr. Joe?
rebate for a 5.
I am here, good sir.
All right.
Also,
You
from
ready?
Strader's is Grubex to protect your lawn from grub.
Give me test.
Testing.
All right, I got you whenever you're ready.
All right, here we go.
In your yard,
This is Eric
try
from
Moss
OnTarget.
X.
Can you rely on
New
small
for
caliber rounds to
2019
stop a threat?
is
Listen
Roundup
this Saturday at
for
1
killing
p.m. and
crabgrass
JC has the Gun of the Week
without
sponsored by
harming your
Jackson
lawn.
Egress Windows. Live
See
from
all
LEPD
the spring
Studios on
specials
Bethel Road.
Strader's website at straders.net. Then
This is Eric from
come to
OnTarget. Can you
Strader's
rely on a
Garden
small
Center.
caliber round to stop a threat? Listen tomorrow at 1 p.m. and
What if
JC
I
has
told
the
you
Gun of the
there
Week
was a way
sponsored
to
by Jackson
step
Egress
into
Windows.
another
Tune in
gear
tomorrow
for
at 1
your
p.m. or
brain
live
and
from
be much
LEPD
sharper,
Studios
more
on Bethel
focused,
Road.
and
That was
improve
probably
your
long,
memory to
wasn't
a
it?
level that you could only dream about.
I think you're good.
Okay.
30 minutes.
Make it work.
Last one.
Neuroscientists are calling
This
this
is
new
Eric
brain
from
discovery
OnTarget.
the
Can you rely
biggest
on a small
advancement in
caliber
brain
round to stop a
science to
threat?
date.
Listen
It's
today
called
at 1 p.m.
Limitless,
and
the brain
JC
pill
has
of
the
the
Gun of the Week
future.
sponsored by
Take
Jackson
it, and
Egress
within 30
Windows.
minutes, you'll
Live from
transport your mind
LEPD
to a new
Studios
level
on
of
Bethel
focus
Road. Don't
and
miss it.
clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless and it started.
All right, sounds good.
Hey, thanks for all your help.
Hey, no problem. Thank you, guys.
All right. See you.
All right, you guys have a great weekend.
Yep, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
BizExec's athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
Find out how to get a free bottle of Limitless. Call 1-800-6...